tonight at 5.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
This isn't normal. This was horrific.
2 Aurora officers facing criminal charges, 1 a felony. Body camera video shows a vicious beating.
This was a criminal act.
Move, I will shoot you.
I'm just thankful that Mr. Vincent is alive.
Defending the flag. In new testimony, the officers who protected the U.S. Capitol during January's insurrection reveal the darkest moments.
No one had ever called me a while wearing the uniform of a Capitol police officer.
And there's a chance we could see 100-degree temperatures before the end of the week.
And first at 5 tonight, these are the 2 Aurora officers facing charges for their roles in an arrest on Friday. John Halbert faces the most severe charges, including assault and felony menacing. Francine Martinez is accused of failing to intervene and failing to report Halbert's use of force. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us for Denver7 News at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. And we want to start by warning you, this body camera video that was released today is quite graphic. All right, let's get right to our Denver7 investigator, Jennifer Kovaleski. Jen, you asked Aurora's police chief about the severity of this case today.
Shannon and Ann, this is yet another black eye for a department plagued with problems. The video is so bad, Aurora's police chief says the department is disgusted, angry, calling this kind of police work unacceptable and criminal.
Get on your face. Okay. Get on your face now.
You're watching the disturbing newly released body camera video.
On your face. On your
A man begging for his life
killing me. Get on your face.
as an Aurora officer pistol whips him more than a dozen times
You move, I will shoot you.
and then strangles him for at least 39 seconds.
I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart.
Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson held back tears, calling the officer's actions criminal.
We're disgusted. We're angry. This is not police work. This is not police work.
Officer John Hobart and Officer Francine Martinez were both arrested and are now facing charges. Hobart is facing 3 felonies, while Martinez is facing misdemeanor charges for failing to intervene and to report the excessive force.
I hope that the transparency that we're giving you here today, as well as the swift action by our police department, can make some of you believe that we are trying to do the right thing.
This happened last Friday while police were responding to a trespassing call. They were trying to arrest the victim, Kyle Vincent, on an outstanding warrant.
This isn't normal. This was horrific.
Denver7 Investigates did some digging and found this is not Officer Hobart's first run-in with the law. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor gun charge several years ago. We asked Chief Wilson if she knew about the charges and why he was allowed to be hired in the first place.
I need to make it clear that I have no control over any basic applicant that is hired by the city of Aurora. I did review the background myself. Upon request, I asked the administrator for me to see the background, and the decision was made to offer him a position with the city of Aurora.
Chief Wilson says she saw his background for the first time this morning. Aurora's Civil Service Commission makes new police hires, so the chief does not make those decisions. The commission says none of its current members were there when Hobart was hired. It would not comment on his hiring. Both officers are out on leave, and we know this is just the beginning. Shannon?
All right, that is so tough to watch. Jennifer, thank you for your report tonight. And the charges against Martinez and Hobart represent the 4th time now an Aurora officer has been publicly reprimanded just since Chief Wilson announced a new way forward last October. Only one of the previous cases involved use of force. Robert Rosen was fired for using his taser 5 times in 2 minutes after arriving on the scene of an arrest at a King Soopers on Parker Road. Chief Wilson wrote in her report on that one, Rosen never turned on his body camera or gave a reason for his use of force. The other 2 cases involved officers who lied on their time cards to collect extra overtime pay. One was fired in February, the other fired in December.
And Chief Wilson's new way received a lot of hype when it was announced back in October. The new chief promised to focus on service, leadership, engagement, and accountability. And she said today that the arrest of officers Hobart and Martinez proves that the department is living up to that promise. Of course, the department now faces a turnover problem. 87 officers left the department last year. That is a 61% increase from 2019. And it is the highest turnover rate for the department since at least 2014. One recently departed officer talked to us about the issues back in February.
Most people, when I told them I was leaving, good for you, I'm a little bit jealous. They do not feel respected or protected. They really need a police chief that's interested in leading the department, and I don't think they have that.
And we asked Chief Wilson about the turnover issues earlier this year, and in a statement she said, policing during a period of reform presents many challenges. Some will become disinterested, especially during a period of change, and make the difficult decision to resign.
Today, powerful testimony from 4 officers who defended the U.S. Capitol during the January 6th riots. One officer compared it to a medieval battle. Another said he was scared he might be murdered with his own weapon. Alex Prochet tonight from Washington.
Today, powerful testimony. 4 officers who braved a deadly mob during the January 6th attack on the Capitol, recounting the horrors they endured in front of the House Select Committee.
One man tried and failed to build a rapport with me, shouting, "Are you my brother?" Another takes a different tack, shouting, "You will die on your knees."
No one had ever called me a while wearing the uniform of a Capitol police officer.
The officers candid about the violence they encountered and the trauma they're still suffering.
I sustained injuries on both my hands, my left shoulder, my left calf, and my right foot.
The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
For more than 3 hours, they testified and answered questions from the bipartisan group of lawmakers. D.C. Metro Police Officer Fanone at one point watching new body camera footage of himself unconscious.
They beat me. I was struck with a taser device at the base of my skull numerous times. And they continued to do so until I yelled out that I have kids.
Representative Adam Kinzinger, one of 2 Republicans serving on the committee, tearing up while listening.
You guys all talk about the effects you have to deal with, and you talk about the impact of that day. But you guys won. You guys held.
House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy has bashed the committee and Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
The committee that will ask the questions she wants asked. That becomes a failed committee and a failed report, a sham that no one can believe.
When people say it shouldn't be political, it is. It was and it is. There's no getting around that.
These officers are demanding accountability. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn drawing the analogy, saying that when a hitman goes to jail for murdering someone, so does the person who hired him. Alex Prochet, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
And 9 men from Colorado currently facing charges in connection with the Capitol riot. The youngest 24, the oldest 51. Now, the most recognizable name, Clete Keller, a 38-year-old Olympic gold medalist from Colorado Springs who was allegedly wearing his Team USA jacket during the riot. He has pleaded not guilty to a half-dozen charges. In paperwork filed last month, prosecutors indicated Keller may be close to a plea deal.
An 87-year-old woman took the stand in an Arapahoe County courtroom today to describe the day in 1984 she found her son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren severely beaten with a hammer. Only the youngest victim survived. The suspect, Alex Ewing, is finally standing trial this week. He was linked to the crimes through DNA in 2018, and Ewing is a suspect in 2 Colorado murder cases from 1984. No trial date has been set in the other case.
A bipartisan group of elected officials is calling on Governor Polis to extend the eviction moratorium through September. It's set to expire Sunday. The governor hasn't indicated what he's going to do. A spokesperson says he is, quote, listening to all sides. And census data shows Colorado Housing Stability Index is worse than the rest of the country. At least a quarter of Coloradans are worried they may be evicted or foreclosed on in the next 2 months.
It's been a sizzler today across Colorado and even hotter weather on the way for tomorrow.
Plus, return of the mask, what the CDC's latest guidance will mean for Colorado.
I was hoping that we wouldn't, but it seems like we're here again.
And the Broncos return to work with 2 big questions. One is under center. The other is in the owner's box.